back to the Marvel Sports Worldwide podcast with Brendan. Shit, that's what he does though. What up? It's Marvel Guy, and welcome back. Yes, back to what? You know, I know that you know. It is the podcast where we take the recent Marvel Sports information, analyze it. I then ask you guys to send emails, mswpodcast@gmail.com, and then we rage the FRUUUUUG out on our fantasy teams.
Jeez,
I'm sorry. I had to do the intro. I had to do it.
And I'm Commander Wolf. I'm not gonna sing like that. I'm Commander Wolf.
Dude, I can't handle it. I can't handle it.
I don't know.
It's so good. That's so good. Okay.
That peaked so bad. I'm so
to
sorry.
Explain that, should I even explain that? That's just an intro from a YouTuber I watch a lot recently now. Dashy XP, Dashy Games YouTuber. He has this intro. He has a stupid intro for his Super Mario Maker series, and I just had to do it, and it made no sense with this podcast, and I tried to make shit up as I went. It was great. Okay. Welcome back to the... I'm sorry. Okay, so we're gonna do, I don't even have... Alright, IRL life update. I hurt my knee yesterday, relatively badly, because it's like something with a tendon or a ligament or something, because I'm not able to walk very well, which kind of sucks. I don't know if I need to see a doctor. I might, if it's not noticeably better by Tuesday. I think it's going to be like a week or two before it's back to complete normal, even if it's like not a doctor-worthy event. But if it's not like starting to make a little bit of a change Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm going to see a doctor, figure it out. Hopefully no surgery stuff, though. I mean, I'm not able to walk super easy, but it's also like not... I don't feel any pain like right now just sitting, so maybe it's not a big deal. I don't know. But yeah, we have a lot to cover today, Marvel League-wise. Hopefully... my IRL knee will get better. My figurative Marvel Sports knee of the fantasy team also is in a little bit of pain. Not a great start for my team, so we'll get into that as well. Wow. What's going on with you?
Not too terribly much, I suppose. Like my birthday's coming up, so I'm gonna be turning 25 soon. Yep. So that's really like all I'm trying to prepare for recording for auditions, trying to get prepared for my weekend not being open, getting ready for a podcast with some cast members for I'm probably gonna be recording an episode of Road X this week and it's gonna be a big one, it sounds like. I'm also going to be trying to hang out with some friends I've never only met online before, so it's like this is gonna be a busy week.
A little bit of a deja vu from when you've met your first podcasting online friend.
And yeah, that was quite fun.
Dude, episode 200. When we hit that, I'm coming to Texas, man. So get excited.
If we can make it there, man.
I will fly out. Oh man. To the episode 200. Yeah, we'll fly over to that too. Okay. Well, anyway, without further ado, back to Dashy. We about to be running through this episode like. All right, let's go to the news.
Hello, Marvel Sports fans! I'm Commander Wolf, here with the Marvel Sports Worldwide News. We've got quite a bit, so let's get right to it. First up, we have Marvel League 2022. Event 1 was climbing, an event where two marbles from each team would run down a ramp and then knock into the other to launch them up as high as they possibly can. After 2 runs from each team, Team Galactic came out in first, followed by the Balls of Chaos in second, and the Bumblebees in third. Next up is a classic event, balancing. While definitely better than last year, the teams still struggled quite a bit. But by the end, Team Galactic got a second gold medal in a row, followed by the Pinkies in second and the Crazy Cat's Eyes in third. And last up for Marvel League, we have yet another classic 5-meter hurdles. However, this was anything but ordinary, as the final teams were not what we normally would expect. By the end, Pinky Panther came in first, earning the Pinkies their second gold medal in Marble League history. Followed up close behind was the Green Ducks in second and the Gliding Glaciers in third. This year's Marble League is off to a very interesting start. But as we all know, things can change up very quickly, so it's anything but decided just yet. And now for some news on some smaller leagues. The Adventure Marble League Marbula 1 seeding races continues with round 2. The pool of marbles is being narrowed down even further, so keep an eye on who is going to make it to the very end. Next, we have the finale of the Mid-Asian Marble Game Season 2. At the very end, the Camo Chameleons took home the gold, followed by the Tomato Torpedoes with the silver, and Team Canary with the bronze. For a competition that's still ongoing, Event 4 of the JBL Cup Season 2, Long Jump, has concluded, with Jet from the Highballers taking first, Canopy from the Valdivians taking second, and Cat from Sugar Crash in third. And lastly, we have the finale of the Acacia League Season 1. With the bronze medal is the Bright Tulips, the silver medalists were the Caramel Racers, and the gold medalists were the Thundering Lights. For the tournaments that have wrapped up, congratulations to all of these winners. And for the ones that are still ongoing, best of luck. Well, that's all for the news. Thank you for listening. I'm Commander Wolf. You are the best fans in the world. Let's kick it on back with the podcast.
We are back from the news with Mr. Waff. We are back from the... Okay, stop. Okay, we're done with that. We're done with those references in this episode. What up? It's Brett. No, stop. Okay, we're doing Marvel Sports. I can't. All right, we're doing Marvel Sports. Let's talk about the Green Ducks. Let's talk about the... Sorry, Event 1. I'm so sorry, Waff. I just been watching too much of him lately. I've been binging him. I can't do it. Okay. Sorry. Event. Okay.
Jeez, Brendan.
Event 1. Event 1. Here we go. All right, we had 3 events, guys. Let's settle down here. Let's settle down for the show. My chair is annoying me right now. Okay. We had 3 events. We had climbing, we had balancing, we had 5-meter hurdles. I will point out all 3 of these events appeared in the qualifiers. And if I'm guessing right, I think... no, a water race is next. So we're not going to get the... What was the 4th event in the qualifiers?
The 4th event was triathlon.
Oh. Yeah, we're not going to get that one for a while for some reason. For some reason, they kicked it off with the 3 events from... The actual
I believe
qualifiers.
I think they're gonna change. From what I've heard, I believe they actually are going. They changed the format in that they're not gonna have all 12 of them racing at once or something.
Which is probably for the best because it'll be a really quick video and really kind of annoying. Like it's probably gonna be
16.
Yeah, that would be bad. I think they should do 4s or 8s at most. You want to give a chance for the race to really unfold and not kind of. I mean, you put 16. See, here's the thing. Here, how do I? Let's break this down a sec. So in San, shut up and do that. We're keeping the intro. We're keeping the nonsense. Welcome back to episode 141, MSW podcast at gmail.com. Thanks, live chat, for your opinion, but we're keeping the intro. Okay, sorry. Okay.
Wow.
Let's talk.
Let's
In
talk.
San Marble Rally. San Marble Rally races are about 3 minutes long, average. That is quite long. So when even though you send about 20 marbles, 16 marbles, I think upwards even 24, 28 down at one time, you really give a good amount of time for all those marbles to kind of stratify to a sense where you're still getting lead changes. You're still giving marbles in the back a chance to kind of make some plays later on in the race. It makes sense. There's a lot of obstacles, a lot of chances for DNFs and speed loss. It's fine. Triathlon lasts about 30 seconds max. And that's including the fact that the underwater section is really slow, even though it's very short.
Right.
So when in the triathlon, you send 16 marbles down at a time. I mean, you're really not given a lot of chance for some lead changing. You saw
And
how
also
much...
the event just ends after 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Right. And then it's over. And then, well, I mean, yeah, the video would be short, but it's also like it's not giving chances for marbles who got a tough start or a great start to have a chance to either fail or succeed. And so I think that, listen, I think that in a good rule of thumb for racing, this is just a good rule of thumb. When you build a course, you're like, okay, my course is this long. How many marbles, how many racers? No, this is really just for marbles. How many marbles could I put down this course if it's just not like a lap course, it's a singular course? How many marbles can I put down? What's the max number of marbles I can put down where it makes sense, right? It makes sense. It's not too little marbles, but it's not too many marbles where it gets all milky and washed out. I think the rule of thumb is you should take all the marbles, or take whatever number you think, you should put them down and do it a bunch of times. And within 10, if you've done it 10 times and not once in those times did the leader end up in the back, did the leader after the first 10 seconds end up in the back by the end of the race, in 10 times racing is probably too many marbles. Okay? Because the leader is often going to keep the lead. But over 10 races, you're going to have a moment, if you have the right amount of marbles, where the leader is going to make some mistakes and be able to make it all the way to the back. With 16 marbles, there's no way the leader is going to be the leader for the first 10 seconds and then within the next 20 end up in the complete last place unless he DNFs or something. So keep that in mind. I think and what that shows is, and that's a very rudimentary rule, I'd have to think about that more, but the idea is you want to show gradual ability to move around the field. You want to show, maybe call it field fluidity. You can be in first place of the field, you can be in last place of the field, and you have enough time within the race for that to happen logically. Not by accident with a DNF, not by like the marble just ends up on the side so he's going to be first to left. No, logical, fluid movement. Lead changes all the way. He's in the back from the front. So that will happen, and it can't happen if you have the right number of marbles. So that's a good test. I think in number 4, that's not even close to what I wanted to say. The friendly round, triathlon in the friendly round, where there were 4 marbles racing, you saw that there were I think the first place marble right out the gate did end up in at least 3rd for a second. I have to rewatch. I confirm that theory. But the point is, it was field fluidity. You could move around a lot. And so I think that's something to look for when you're trying to do that in general for track design and everything. So I think they need to cut it down. To ensure good field fluidity, they should cut it down to about 8 tops racers for the triathlon. Probably they'll do 4 and make it like a tournament style, like 5-meter sprint or something.
Agreed.
All that being said, let's get into the events for today. I'm going to start by calling out fantasy, and then we'll talk about the events themselves. So, Waf, why don't you talk about where you are in fantasy?
All right. Well, right now I am currently placed in 252nd, although that was not including event 3. I got 57 points in the first event, 49 in the second, total of 106. So I am, and then this event, I did not do my math for it yet, but I'm sure it's not looking good. I can do it real fast, actually. Yeah, so it's, ignore me while I do my math. You can talk about yours, Brendan, while I'm doing math here.
Okay, so I have 3 different teams. Okay? I have 3 different teams on fantasy. One of them is my primary team. This is the team that this will get the prizes if wins. This is the team that I'm like, I want this team. This is the team, my forefront team. I want this team to be the one that finishes in the top 10%. Which with the number of teams, 314, needs to be within the top 32, which is 31. It's going to be insane. But hopefully we'll get there. That team currently is in 292nd after 2 events. So not very good. My other team, the Marble Glaciers, which is basically a fantasy team where I put the Glaciers in my top 3 because I know I got my times 3 because I got very scared about not picking them, and I'm like, all right, let's see what happens if I had picked them, and I think did everything else the same. So Glaciers instead of Racers, and then Speeders, Chocolatiers, so on and so forth to the bottom. It doesn't really matter. This is just kind of a fan, my 3rd team, and it was just for fun. But there's another team that I did, and this is more of a substantial data point for me, that actually is very interesting right now. And I call this the Marble Guts team. That's how I named it, because it's like the gut picks. These were the gut picks. These were like, I sat down, I analyzed for half an episode just looking at the current stats, just looking at the most recent performances in the qualifiers. Like, who seems to have the momentums? Who seems to have the initial impetus that's going to come out strong, is going to do it? And lo and behold, who did I put at the top of my Marble Gut team? No less than Team Galactic. So that team is in 7th place after the first few events. After the first 2 events, we'll see after the this next one. But that team has Team Galactic ×3, Savage Speeders ×2, then Mellow Yellow, Bumblebees, and Cat's Eyes. Team Galactic and Bumblebees are your top 2 teams after the event 2. Oh no, wait, yeah, no, top 2 teams after event 3, I believe. So like they're to see them in my gut picks team, I'm starting to wonder, maybe I should be going with gut picks. Maybe I should simplify my analysis, only look at recent stuff, not look too far back and confuse myself on the numbers of the crazy Cat's Eyes or whatnot, but really stick with the gut picks. So I mean, it's an interesting data point. It's something to really consider for later when I maybe come back next year. Because like, if we get to the end of this year and my Marble Gut Picks team finishes top 10, and Team Galactic and Bumblebees and whoever else I have, I guess Speeders are always going to be good and whatever. If they're all up there and it's crazy, and this Marble Gut team finishes top 10 and my other team finished like 100 or 200 and it just was not it, I'm going to be like, you know what? I'm adjusting how I go about my picks next year. Because think about it. We're new. Fantasy's new. Fantasy's a few years old. Marble League is still not that old yet, 7 years. And so we're trying to understand the best way to process the information for fantasy and data and everything. So my initial thought was like, of course you have to do as much research as you can and really try to understand where teams are going to be good, where they're going to be bad, blah, 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 meow, 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 meow. You know, you really go deep into it and come up with and try to pull out some interesting picks. And I think I did do a good job. I mean, I made logical picks. Raspberry Racers, a lot of good data lately as my top one. You know, Mellow Yellow, a smart pick. They won last year. You know, Chocolatiers, not a bad pick. So those were all smart picks. But maybe with too much research, I actually took away from the current momentum of the teams. Which, by the way, I know the current momentum of the teams seems like an in-role play only way to measure teams, but it's not. It is also an out of role play way to measure teams. Because remember when we talked about, and this theory goes all the way back to MFA in like episode 20. We talked about those microchipping that happens on the marbles and everything. So like basically the point of that theory, which took an episode to exposit. The point of that theory is that even in a very small, unnoticeable way, every marble is always changing a little bit over time if they're competing a lot. That's the idea. They're hitting into each other, microchipping, I don't know. They're hitting walls, they're hitting ground, there's rolling. They're changing slightly. Their shape is changing ever so slightly. Their weight is changing ever so slightly. Where they have chips, if they have chips in the ball, ever so slight changing. Which means that those small changes over time are going to add up and allow a marble, because of its slight weight change, shape change, whatever, to either be a little bit better or a little bit worse or whatever. And so that's why I think some teams over time change. That's why all of a sudden, whoa, Bumblebees in top 3? When Bumblebees were not even a top 10 team a few years ago. That's why we're like, whoa, Savage Speeders used to be a top 1 only, and now they're more they're still in the top of their, on a slight decline. Sorry. I think the small changes that affect the marble over a longer period of time will have an effect on how they perform. So if you look at the recent performances and you judge only on that, qualifier performances, maybe the past year if you want to get a little nuts with it, you're looking at the marbles in their current state for the most part. You're looking at how they are with the current amount of unquantifiable microchips and shape changes and weight change, the current marble. And I think that could be helpful because you'd think past data would be smart, and I still hold to that, so I want to be careful, and we have to see how the season goes. Maybe the Raspberry Racers will be like, motherfucking shit, we want to win some events and come out strong for the next 8. But it is something to note that it could really be just a matter of looking at the marble in its current shape, its current form, to be most accurate. Which again, when you take the part 1 of our fantasy guide that was just looking at current marbles, qualifiers, here and now, momentumums, gut picks, Team Galactic, Bumblebees, they're top 2 right now. Your volume's really low, Waff, so turn it up.
Right. I keep forgetting I turn my interface back up when I'm taking a break or like drinking water. I got 57 points again in Event 3, so that's same as Event 1, so I'm not doing terribly well. For custom, I'm like from the first 2 events, I have 10 points total. I keep forgetting how the point system here works, because like the individual racer competition is something I'm not used to. I keep forgetting how that point system works, but like I have 10 points for the first 2 events.
It's like 2 times, 1.7 times, 1.5 times, 1.25 times, 1 times.
Huh.
Yeah.
Weird. Heck, actually, how did I get points for the how did they do points for the second event when it's a team event and balancing? How does that work?
I think wherever they place, that's just wherever they place the teammate that was there. All teammates get the same points. Right.
Okay.
So if the Crazy Cat's Eyes finished 5th, then they'd all get the points for 5th.
Okay, sure. That makes sense, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just new. I don't remember the multipliers of that, so it's hard for me to remember. I don't even remember who I picked, really. So, yeah.
Let me see where I am here. I'm sure not very good, because my picks for this kind of reflected my forefront team, my primary team in the regular picks. So let's see. I'm trying to find it. There's Super Yak. Hi, Super Yak. Stands down at 112 there. Dude, am I really far down? Damn. Okay. Or am I not? I don't have a picture. I have a picture on the other one though.
You should have pictures on all of them.
I don't see me.
You can control F yourself and like find it that way.
Oh, that actually is pretty smart. Marble.
Gotta save time, especially since we have so many events to discuss.
Okay. Marble Guy individual. No picture from me here. 109. Not terrible. Not terrible. Considering that there are 237. So I'll leave it there. I don't really know what to say about it, honestly. It's hard to really know exactly how to interpret a lot of this right now. So I'm going to just I'm going to not talk about the individual a lot right now. That's going to be more of a reflective thing after or here and there. So because we want to give it time to sit, understand it later, come back with maybe more thoughts on it next year. Yeah. Okay. But with all that fantasy deliberated, this has kind of like been kind of a re-intro, getting used to the fact that we're in Marble League now. Let's talk about the events that we got to see. Okay, let's talk about what we experienced over these past few events. We're going to really try to keep up with the shows so that we get all 3 in per episode and everything, but it moves fast. I've told, and especially now where JMR knows that they're really bad at keeping a schedule, they should be doing 2 a week. It really gives us. I know the videos are short, but with the surrounding, they should think with the surrounding kind of atmosphere of fantasy and fan base and chatting and blah blah blah, and Reddit. People are posting their thoughts and whatever. It kind of is nice to have those few days, and 2 times a week gives it like enough time where you have 2 events still. It's only a few days between each event, but it's not coming so fast that like, wow, we're already 3 events in, you know, like I don't know. I would vote more for 2 times a week. I
definitely agree with that. It would also make our jobs easier, but like the other way of looking at it is like, because it's been so delayed and took so long to get done, they probably like, okay, let's give them 3 events every week. That way they can get a lot of Marvel content to make up for our long hiatus and lack of content.
They did 3 events last week though too, so I don't know. I'm not a hugest fan of it, but I mean, to each their own opinion on that one. Opening ceremony, which is on my screen right now. Make sure you're always following the Chrome when we talk about Marble League. I mean, it was nice. I think they didn't do anything too crazily different. I really love the duck statue. I have to be honest. I really do. because it adds something to come back to. Greg always has a clever thing to say when we're there in the duck statue, like, "Oh, that duck's been looking at me," or "Wow, that duck looks disappointed at the green duck's unbalancing, who will suck at balancing." It's always nice and funny. It adds another flair to it. I'm a big fan of the duck statue. Also, the duck statue itself, when this video finally gets to looking at it, it's quite a funny looking statue. It's just it has an attitude to it,
Mm-hmm.
So I like that. I will say that lore-wise, I don't really know how ducks fit into the marble world. I don't know if the green ducks are supposed to be ducks, or there are normal non-marble animals in the marble world, and the marbles are just marbles. Like what are marbles replacing, or are there people in the marble? What is the marble world? You know what I mean? Like
I know canonically it's like there are no humans and it's just marbles, but like I now realize, like animals are just kind of there, and like what size are the animals?
Statue, by the way, it's on the Chrome now. It's such a wonderful look in its eye, gleam in its eye.
Like I think marbles are meant to be like they're meant to be human sized. Like in universe, they are the size of a human, so everything like is scaled properly. Like these buildings are the same size as a building would be in our world. But so like I guess ducks would just be normal sized. Again, this comes back to the yellow snapping his fingers theory I had from like episode 20, where it's he turned everybody. Remember like long ago, like it's like episode 20. It's like, oh, I know how like to connect MSPN, and it's like Yella. He took like the Infinity Stones. He snapped his fingers and turned everybody into marbles, and that's why Thanos is Marble Thanos and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay, I see. That's the theory I lean towards, that basically this is the human world, but all humans are replaced with marbles, and so it operates the same otherwise, except for the fact that everything has to be built so marbles can I don't really know how the marbles bounce on the stairs, but whatever. Well, maybe when there's a marble movie, we'll see.
A marble movie?
A marblovie. I don't know. There needs to be a marble movie though, because I would definitely watch. People would watch it. People would really, really watch a marble movie.
I will say, like those articles that Fokoff wrote, like to the build up for like the final events for Marble League, they are super cinematic in how they're set up, and I kept imagining, like kind of like almost like that big like tense scenes with like the competitors in the big sports movies, like just before the big competition, and it's like I could see how they could make that work.
I would love it
to a certain degree.
I would die for it. Like it would be just too good. Or the only other way I might view the universe in Marble Sports would be everything is marble-ified, which means like everything is marble-ified. So like marbles, like dogs are just marble dogs. So they still look like dogs, but they also look like marbles. Like, you know what I mean? Like their dogs are like they're like a marble, but they have like dog ears and dog legs on them. You know what I'm saying? Like everything's marble-ified.
I kind of get what you're saying, and I don't know how I feel about that.
So it's like a human marble blend. So like humans are still just the marbles, and then like everything's like marblicious.
Well, the thing is, like teams like Turtle Sliders, they have a logo with an actual literal turtle on it. How would they know what a turtle looks like if turtles didn't exist in their world?
That would be creative liberty on their part. I don't know.
I don't know. I think animals are just animals in this universe for whatever reason. I think there's actually like a statement by someone saying that at some point.
Fair enough. All that being said, let's get into climbing here. Climbing, we'll throw it out of 10. I mean, for me, this is a solid event. I don't mind it. And I think I talked about this in the qualifiers being like this kind of duo marble strength event, which it's really a strength event. You can call it whatever you want. It's a strength event because the point is the first marble has to come down and then hit the other marble strong. Okay. The other marble has to do its best to make sure it allows to channel that momentum wherever it needs to be, but it's really just the first marble has to be strong. It has to come out fast and has to know how to use the path it has and the speed it can gain to its strength advantage, not waste any momentum, not cause any lateral motion. It's a very technical event in that way. But that duo marble strength pairing event that can be kind of extrapolated and done like tweaked to be done slightly different ways every year depending on the theme, I think is really cool. But it's obviously not my favorite event, so it's like a 7 out of 10 for me.
Let me see here. For me, I think it's maybe a 6 out of 10. Does it, like I don't know if I necessarily like it definitely goes by faster than Newton's Cradle, which was probably one of its biggest problems because it was just one at a time. It took a long time. This one it goes by faster, so it doesn't overstay its welcome. And I kind of like it is, and you're right. Like I do like the idea. Like, it's a strength-based event that also kind of relying on speed, on accuracy. It'd be nice to like if you know. Yeah, this is an event that would really benefit from Hershey's style of competition where like the people would know the marble's weight. So like they would like, okay, you put the heaviest marble on the down ramp to get as much momentum and speed as possible, and then the lighter marble near the at the end so it gets launched even higher. Yeah. Like, because like that would be something that'd be really cool to know.
But again, that only is going to make it a difference in the JMR context if you have community coaching where they can actually choose that.
True.
And that's a lot of extra information that will just make people mad, really, if you don't have a chance to have someone in the community be choosing that heaviest marble and choosing that light marble so it makes the most sense. You understand? Like, so I think that they don't necessarily need that information, but again, I always wish for the community coaching thing too, and that would be really cool. It'd be fun, extra information. But if Gel just didn't do it because Gel probably doesn't, he has no bias on these teams or so not thinking for their best interest in essence. I mean, he is and isn't. I don't know how to. We'll talk about that some other time. Then like it might just make people upset. To be like, oh, logically, why did you not pair them like that? And Joe will be like, I don't know. Well, I'm climbing blah blah blah, and some I don't know, some he's not going to think about that. Or for every team, or it's not going to be a useful set of information right now. I will say, Galactic being first place in this event is not the most surprising thing. I guess just because they are a teamwork-based team. I mean, they're a consistent team, so they're good as a team. They're good at consistently churning out similar points, similar performances. They work together well. So, I mean, seeing them doing well in this, not the most unexpected thing. I don't remember what they did in qualifiers on this. I think pretty good. I really don't want to go look at it. The episode's already going really long already because
you're right. I will say, like, it was cool, like, seeing how, like, Balls of Chaos only lost out on the gold by 1/10 of a centimeter. Like, that was a very close event. It was.
Yeah, I do agree with the live chat. I wish there was more of a tournament style here, like the top 4 also going again to decide medalist or, like, top 8. But, I mean, again, I don't know why they make the decisions they do. They just do. But let's talk about a little bit of the standings after Event 1. Because I think this is some showing here. Event 1 is an important event because it sets a tone. Okay? And I don't, part of me always wants to neglect that because I say, okay, well, there's 16 events. And if you just took all the events the Savage Beaters were good at and you put them in the back 8 and then filled the first 8 with tough events, it's going to look like the Savage Beaters are sucking until the back 8. So I'm saying, like, I get it. Like, 16 events and all of them are very different. So some teams just haven't hit their event yet. We haven't hit certain ones where, like, the Savage Speeders, the Raspberry Racers are going to really shine. We haven't necessarily hit those yet. So we have to be patient and we can't count teams out only 3 events in.
Right.
But I do want to say that there is a tone set here. Okay, and so when you see that the capability of teams like the Bumblebees to come out in an event like this and get 3rd place, all right, the capability of the Balls of Chaos and Galactic to do what they did as well, the top 3 from climbing are very important now. And now they're up in our eyes right now. They're up in our eyes probably at least for, like, it's going to be many events until we completely neglect those names, and they'd have to do bad for many to leave our eyesight. Okay, because Bumblebees, I mean, they're still doing good right now. They came out strong. Galactic now really in our heads because first gold plus 2 golds in a row. So, I mean, it's a tone set. And now you were like, wow, these teams we have to look at. Balls of Chaos already starting to drop. But still, I think it's very important to set a tone. And very rarely will a team come out and be within the top 3 for the first few events and then end up in the bottom 4. I'm sure someone in the chat will find an example, blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying it's rare. It's not likely. It's not consistent in that method, usually that team hangs around a while. I think Team Galactic's going to hang around in the top 8 for a while. I think they're going to be there like 8 events from now. Okay? And so because they came out and won 2 golds in a row, same with the Bumblebees, I mean, they're going to be teams in our eyes now. And we're going to be like, wow, they're starting very strong. And so I don't want... It's a balance. I don't want to say, oh, the Raspberry Racers, man, hope is given up, because obviously it's not. There's so many more events to go. But I also don't want to say, let's neglect the fact that the Team Galactic came out and won 2 golds. First 2 events. Bumblebees came out and they're still in the top 3.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
It's a tone set.
Also, like, they got the same distance on both runs, the Bumblebees, like 73 both times.
That was really good. I think the Bumblebees and this new pairing of teams, I don't know what it is. They're not a bad team. They were a gut pick for me, and they're not a bad pick. I mean, they are solid this year, and they will continue to be solid. I don't count them out in speed events. I don't count them out in strength events. I don't think they did very well in balancing, but when we get to balancing, I want to have a lot to say today about balancing, so just hang on. But they're a team that I feel like will hang. I mean, my prediction is they're a top 10 team this year. They're top 10 this year, definitely. They're going to hang around in this top 7 for at least the next 6 events. They're going to hang around. They're going to hang around. Crazy Cat Size, they're going to be right next to them. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I agree. We probably should move on though, like just because like you gotta get to somewhere right after this.
I mean, we have some time still, but I want to make sure, I'm trying to blow through all these events, but I want to make this point here.
Okay.
Note the teams right now after this first event that I have on the screen here. Note these teams. Note them and that are in the top 5 right now. They will hang around. Some of them, it's kind of hard to even. Like, you know, Rangers and Cat's Eyes will always hang around. They're always going to be somewhere, okay? But I'm just saying, these top 3, they're going to be here. They're going to be around for at least a little bit longer, if not for the next 10 events. So let's move on. But, Waf, any thoughts on climbing that you really are interested in?
I guess I should clarify why I said 6. Like it doesn't have as much going on with the Newton's Cradle aesthetically, so I guess it's not as interesting to look at. Maybe that's why I think it's a 6. Also, admittedly, like I'm not as into marbles as I once was. It's because life is so busy. I have not been keeping up with stats and stuff. Like that's, I'll just say that much. Like it's for me, it's like, oh, what was this? Like, well, climbing is actually kind of hard because, like, you know, there is no, aside from Newton's Cradle being similar, we have no real stats to judge. So it's hard to say, like, oh, like this team did so much better than they did last year. And I know, like, they're just establishing their skill set right here and now. You know.
Yeah, I mean that's about what it is. We don't really know currently. Balancing. This event always. It's a weird event.
Yeah, this year again, like they didn't do as good like as these past 2 years. Their balancing scores have been more consistently, I think, towards the lower end than they used to be.
In general, you mean?
I think so, yeah. Like, I remember last year, I'm pretty sure we commented on like how, hey, these scores are not as high as they used to be. What's going on? And like this is kind of very similar to that.
I don't know, man, but teams just seem to suck at this event. Like, this seems to be a really brutal and unforgiving event. That's how I see. Balancing is just unforgiving. Balancing is so unforgiving. Yeah. Marbles are not getting to the final green very often. You have a few teams that get 2, a couple teams that get 1, and all of them just look like, I mean, they look like they're rolling on a non-level surface. That's how bad most of these marbles teams are right now at balancing. I mean, you'll see it honestly, as it lingers on the chrome here. It's really bad.
I agree. It does kind of feel that way. But like, again, maybe it's like the point of like micro damage over time. Is like they're not as smooth as they were when they came since the last time they were here, because they've been racing on like hard surfaces, knocking into each other, or like especially like events like the water race we're gonna have soon, like the preview of it, like it's back. It's like one of those old water races they have where like it's like a stream running down like these rocky surfaces. Even with the water helping to cushion it a bit, they're going to be smacking into these rocks. This glass is going to be smacking into some rocks. They're going to get damaged over time. They're not going to be as balanced as they were before.
You're right, and that's going to have an effect. I mean, it might be having an effect on balancing. The marbles are less spherically shaped over time, so they just can't stay straight. I don't know what it is, but I mean, it just doesn't look good for most teams out there. I mean, some of these teams are supposed to be very capable teams, okay? And like Mellow Yellow, it was just god awful. I mean, they had one
Raspberry Racers. They're great at balancing. They're supposed to be great at balancing.
They were consistent in the last few years and nothing. I'm going to jump to the end standings here. I don't know what it is about this event, but it's very hard. It is. I would go out on a limb right now and say that based on the current scope of marble sports, for me, balancing is definitely the top one hardest event in Marble League. Hardest event.
You know what? I think I might agree with that one.
Okay.
How it's been looking?
I want to talk about points. So, there are 4 marbles in balancing. Your max points possible is 134 times. Okay.
So 520 total.
Yeah, I was about to add that in my head, right? That's 111 4 100s and 30s make so 520 total possible points. No one got close to that, by the way.
260 is the halfway point to that. Technically speaking, the top 12 all got past that halfway point.
That's the halfway point. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's terrible. What do you mean the halfway point?
Well, like, I mean, halfway to max score. Half to max scores. Like,
no,
max
I know what the
points.
halfway point means. I'm saying that like that's not something to celebrate. I'm not celebrating the halfway point. At best, we'll acknowledge the 2/3 point, which would be what? What would be the 2/3 point?
I will get that for you.
That's tough. I can't do that in my head. I'm gonna need my calculator. I'm gonna let Woff do that.
346.7.
So to get 2/3 of the total max points, 346. The top 5 did do that. Oh, 347. So the top 4 got greater than 2/3.
Mm-hmm.
Top 4 got greater than 2/3. Barely, by the way. No teams above 400.
Size features technically did get higher in this, just that they don't have decimal points for the the percentage of it.
Okay. So, I mean, my point is like this is a hard event, and like truthfully, the bellwether for good in this event, I think you get 2/3 points. Then at the current scope of Marble League, that's good. Usually around anything above 300 is considered a good run. Anything above 350 is considered a great run in the scope of current marble sports. But like when you math that, I mean, we're talking 2/3 mark here. And so to have, all you have to do to have a great run is get above 2/3 points, and marbles can barely do that. Barely do it. Okay, most marbles cannot even get close to 2/3. Half your teams are not even breaking 300. Okay, so half your teams aren't even having good runs. And look at the teams that aren't having good runs. Raspberry Racers, O'Rangers, Chocolatiers. I want to point those out, Midnight Wisps, because these are teams that are supposed to be able to work together well and have showed many times that they can work together well. Balls of Chaos started out extremely strong and was completely taken down by balancing. I will mention also that they also had a marble make it to the end, make it all the way to 130.
Yeah.
And all their other marbles did so bad. They had 215 points.
Yeah, this is so sad.
It's hard because I don't know. I don't know why it's so hard. Marbles used to do better at this, but it's like just like the team can't stay together on the beam. It doesn't matter if they're really skilled and veteran and been around a while. It doesn't matter if they're new. It just Pinkies are basically new. They really are just basically new because they were swapped out with a new uniform like last year. So and they got 369. I mean, that's a lot of points. There's no pattern to this. It seems like teams just can't get a grip on this. Even the best of teams are barely breaking 2/3 of possible points. I don't know what to say about balancing, but to me, it's very clearly the hardest event in Marble League. I almost want to remove it now from my thought bubble when I analyze for fantasy.
You know, okay, I was gonna say like remove it from the whole competitions. Like, what? Hold on a second. Like, this is a staple. But
no, this is a staple. I love the event, and I think it should stay. But I think that when I analyze teams, if I analyze the validity of teams in Marble League and I analyze for predictions, I'm gonna remove it because I'm really just gonna. I think you should analyze teams in Marble League with the base thought of, okay, they're gonna suck at balancing. because there seems to be no rhyme or reason, because it's so freaking hard to be good that sometimes you just need a luck base. You need to come out and accidentally 2 of your marbles are kind of stuck together in the middle. It's really not happening. I mean, let's look at last year's stats on this, by the way. Let's look at them. This is...
Yeah, definitely do that. I'm gonna bring up a point that one of our live chatters did. First, it's a old time fan, Akanon. Hey, Akanon, it's been a long time, but he brings up a point that that I did not consider that makes a lot of sense. How often do they change what the balancing beam is or what it's made out of? And I'm realizing now the beam itself can be damaged over time and warped over time just by erosion from like air just sitting there. It's probably styrofoam.
Yeah, it's not going to stay level, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So the beam needs to actually should be replaced every single year with a fresh piece.
But even at that, replacing with a fresh piece is going to there's going to be slightly, nothing's perfect. So there's the imperfections are going to be in slightly different places in the replaced beam.
True, but it should be more level overall than a piece that's probably just been sitting in a storage room, potentially with things resting on top of it, or just time making it sag in places that it didn't sag before.
Either way, I'm saying either way, it's a wash. It's probably better to replace, but either way, it's not good.
Yeah.
Now let's do this. Let's talk about this wonder right here. Event 2 balancing 2021. Now bear with me here, guys. Best
they changed
team.
The beam. Wait, they changed the beam this year, but I thought it was just the ramp that they changed.
Looked the same.
Sorry.
It looked the same to me.
Yeah, they look the same to me.
I think they changed it from 2019.
The ramp is new, I'm sure, because it's longer, but the beam itself wouldn't need to be changed.
We can maybe look at the ramp size later. Let's look at these stats. Look at this. Green Ducks came out 405. Wow, 405 is a good run because you're almost at the 3/4 points there. That's great. Okay, I think you are at 3/4. Hazers, 329. That's a decent run. That's second place. Third, 289. Not even breaking 300. Third place. And by the way, nobody even got close then going downwards. All in the 200s. And then the bottom few barely even broke 210. Not even 210. Bottom 5. Not even close to 210. I mean, look at these scores. These are terrible scores on the balance.
What year is this?
This is last year. A lot worse than this year.
Yeah. The last year was really bad. It was really bad.
Really bad. And I'm sure that's why I probably made the comment I did. I mean, a third place finisher, 289. Look at the standings in this year. At least 289 would have finished 9th this year.
Yeah, okay, so this is definitely a massive improvement.
No, it's not, because 405 was the top last year. This year we didn't even get close to the same top record. We just had a little more consistency in the top
in qualifiers. We did.
I don't want to talk about the qualifiers right now.
All right.
There's only so much data I can handle. I think it's a little bit different in the pressure of the normal event.
Sure.
But look at these scores. Not good scores, but look at the teams. Green Ducks, Hazers, Raspberry Erasers, Team Momo, Gliding Glaciers. Where are they this year? Gliding Glaciers, they did fine. They got 4th, so a little consistency. Hazers aren't even here. Raspberry Erasers, look at the bottom right here. Green Ducks, not so great, 7th. I mean, how do you go from 405 to 302? I don't they're capable of that, and they drop more than 100 points. Team Momo obviously not in there. Thunderbolt's not even there. Limer's not. Most of these teams aren't even here. And balancing, by the way, was in the qualifier. So I want to point out that for a lot of these teams who did really well in balancing last year, really well being a relative term based on these points, to not be here means they really kind of suffered in balancing in the qualifying situation. Mini Maniacs 9th last year and 10th. So I guess they're consistently bad. But I mean, and as you go down, some of these teams did a little better. Cat's Eyes 3rd this year, but last year did really bad with only 202 points. For no reason, they're a ton better this year. Why? Why are they a ton better this year? I mean, nothing's different. Rangers did 100 points better, 188 to 279 for no reason. There's no consistency in where the points match up. So teams who did really good this year, not so great. Last year, not so great this year. I mean, it's all over the place. The only consistency you could even see is negative consistency, where a team does bad 2 years in a row. But I mean, clearly,
Akanon says that CC
problem.
They got 3rd in 2019, so there is consistency actually, to a certain degree.
Well, Crazy Cat's Eyes did the worst run last year.
But I know, but in 2019 they did. But that can be considered the outlier, at least out of 3.
Whatever. I'm saying that this event is so freaking hard. You can't. No, but like when even I guess it could be an outlier. I'm just saying I don't think there should be some respective consistency, and there's nothing, and it's a really hard event.
Well, no, I get you, but like that is the thing. Like the sample size for data is very small. In most experiments, 6 or 7 year instances of data is not enough.
Which is true.
To get correlation in science, like there's even an equation statistics to determine if it's the level of confidence you should be able to have in your data. I forgot what that equation is, but you could technically probably quantify how much confidence we should have in the data we have based on the number of sample size and stuff.
I think that if we ever hit that 10-year mark or that 20-year mark with Marble League, we should take some time and really figure out, like, take a bunch of episodes and actually break down data of Marble sports. Just really, really look at trends. I think there's a little bit of frivolity in it because marbles change, microchipping, microchanging. I mean, there's so much change that it's hard to, teams swap out, teams get new teams, some teams don't even make. There's a lot of change in the marble teams over time, which is gonna reduce the consistency of the data no matter what. But you could see some trends maybe that might be really useful. So I think it's worth a look. But balancing, man, my conclusion from this: hardest event in Marble League by far. By far, name one event that's even close. 5-meter sprint, a staple
surfing.
of Marble League. A staple of Marble League is 5-meter sprint. You know what? The Savage Beaters are always good every year. Savage Beaters have no consistency in balancing. No consistency.
I would say that surfing
Crazy Cat's Eyes,
no one's
always good at 5-meter sprint every year, and maybe 1 year outlier, but like in the 6-7 years, always good. And you know what? No consistency in balancing. Okay, Galactic actually pretty solid every year in something like 5-meter sprint, consistent at least when they finish. Like I think they're always between like 5 and 8 in that event. No consistency here, none, absolutely none, absolutely none, absolutely none. So I don't. There's no rhyme nor reason. I mean, Pinky's really getting second in balancing. Come on.
Yeah, like it's weird. It's very weird. Like, in terms of ranking this event, like, ranking the event as itself, I would probably call it, like an 8, maybe even a 9 out of 10. Just
it's a 9 out of 10 because it's a staple. It's a staple. Yeah, you have to have balancing.
It's a staple. Like, and, like, the main thing I like about it is, like, there's an actual, like, pinnacle that you can aim for in this event. Like, the actual maximum, like, max score you can get.
Imagine watching
like,
that.
That's what I'm excited about. It's like, I know one day while I'm watching this, like, the moment that we get close or it actually happens, I'm going to lose my mind. It's like, oh my word, like, the odds of this happening, and it finally did happen. It's kind of like,
it's going to be some nonsense. It's going to be some nonsense, too. It's not,
right.
It's going to be some stupid team like the Purple Rockets in their first rookie year in Marble League. Screw that team. They're gonna get all 4 marbles down to the last little basin, and Greg's gonna freak out, and everyone's gonna be like Purple Rockets, and I'm gonna be mad because I don't like the Purple Rock. It's gonna be them at the Indigo Stars. I know, I know it. I don't. It's going to be stupid like that, too, for no reason. And you know what? I bet after they do that, the next 3 years of balancing, they'll get like 200 points. I bet that's going to happen. and then people are going to be like, what happened? Well, because the event's impossible. But it's a staple. It's a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, ranking this individual event itself, like maybe it's like one ranking lower just because it's not as fun to watch them do, not as good as they used to, I guess. But like, it is what it is.
Yeah. Let's move on to the third event. Now, I want to make a point here. For anyone, this should be some encouragement. For anyone whose fantasy team is not doing well right now, and they think they put enough effort in to research where they feel like they're kind of upset that their fantasy team is not doing better, I want you to take some heart here. Because listen to this. Think about the events we've just had. Okay, and I'll think about this from my perspective too with my fantasy. We had climbing. Climbing is a completely new event that's never been done. I know there's similar type events, but this particular variation of the 2 marble pairing with this particular way of doing it, and the event in essence is kind of new. So it's new. We'll call it new, which means we don't know how marbles can do that. Every marble's going to perform differently. We don't even know. We don't even know what the strat is. We don't even know. We don't even know is the only thing that we can say about it. So you can't necessarily get mad at performance and climbing too much. Then we had balancing. Based on my evaluation of balancing this year, you can take balancing and throw it out the window. You should assume every team will fail at balancing and just be pleasantly surprised when they don't. Every team, and you should go into balancing thinking, okay, all teams on my fantasy, I've already accounted for the fact that they're gonna get about 200 points tops in this event. They're gonna suck. It's gonna be bad. That's how you should go into balancing, because it's just nonsense. The event's very hard. It's a great event, but I don't think you can analyze it too much for fantasy anymore. So that's happened. So we can remove that event. It didn't even happen. Basically, we're just basically 2 events in, 2 evaluative events in. Hurdles. I think for a lot of people who picked teams that did bad in the first 2, they got a little bit of help with hurdles. A lot of my teams, which didn't do well in the first 2, did well. At least well enough, mid-pack to high-pack. Savage Speeders, Raspberry Racers came back a little bit. And 3 of my teams finished top 7 altogether, which were nice, or top 8. So, they're no firsts or anything, but you can see hurdles is where some of the more remembered teams start to make their stride back. So take heart. You can see that they're there. You can see the Savage Speeders, if you pick them, are capable. They did well in hurdles. You can see that teams like Raspberry Racers and even Mellow Yellow and who else did pretty good? Crazy Cat's Eyes.
Mellow Yellow got 11th.
Not Mellow Yellow. I meant Crazy Cat's Eyes because they did like 6 or something. They're still 9th. Around. Who got like 6th then? There's 3 of my teams got
Chocolatiers got 6th.
Chocolatiers, okay. Whatever. Because I was like wondering about that. So Chocolatiers are around, okay? And shit, I just lost my thought. Savage Speeders, obviously, they're around, and what was it? Raspberry Racers, they're around. And Raspberry Racers, I can't say that team name very well, by the way. I have to really pronounce it. Raspberry Racers. Okay. They're around, and they are capable, and they will be fast, okay? And so don't lose heart about it yet. We have a lot of speed events coming up. We have a lot of racing events coming up. Even Underwater Race is going to feature a lot of that racing aspect. And Green Ducks are probably going to come out strong in that, but it's still you're going to see a lot from other teams in that. And I don't think you should get scared yet.
So something that interesting to bring up, so Pinkies did really well here, and I'm thinking about the whole uniform change thing you mentioned. This is a uniform they've had before, but I'm now wondering, every time they've changed their uniforms, did they make sure to keep their old uniform marble separate? Because if they didn't, that means every time they've changed their uniforms, it's been a different marble each time. The original Pinky Marble uniform, who was not the same one when they went back to that same uniform potentially. And that could potentially result in some strange variance in their performance.
Oh, what do you mean? Sorry, I'm not understanding what you're trying to say.
So just how when they changed the Pinky's uniform, so they have to get a brand new marble, obviously, because you don't just paint it new. But then they would basically switch back the next year to the old uniform they had before. But who's to say that when they switched it back again, they used the same marble from that previous season?
They probably didn't. I would imagine they didn't, because they probably weren't anticipating the switch back. Right. They switched and then they didn't switch back for a while. So I think they probably just were pick the 4 old ones again. So it's probably completely new marbles, which means that I see Pinky's team as a completely new team who was they have their history, but they also are not doing terrible for a completely new team. And I'm not necessarily counting them out yet. I think I picked Pinky Panther for my individual. If I remember right, that's probably how I got to 102. No, but they didn't put Event 3 up in the fantasy yet. I picked Pinky Panther, though, I think, and obviously very good performance today. Who did I pick? I can't remember who I picked. I'll look later. It's one of the Pinky, what are the other ones? Pinky
Toe, Pinky Promise?
I think I did pick Pinky Panther then. So, I don't know. It's hard to evaluate the Pinkies. We need more time. They're not doing bad this year. I held off because I'm afraid that they're not going to keep it up on picking them. But I mean, they're a new team basically with the previous uniform change. So we're still trying to get a sense of them. Just like the gliding glaciers, we don't really know where they're going to go.
Right.
And gliding glaciers also very good right now. I don't know. I like hurdles. Hurdles for me is a solid 7 out of 10. I don't think I can do much more. I think it's fine. I used to not love it because it was just hitting the connects pendulum on the way down, but I like how you actually jump over the hurdles. I think it's pretty cool.
Right.
And
I will say that I don't think they. It was probably hard to tell just because they're the same color as they have ramp on it, but like I don't think they hit the hurdles as much as they did in previous years.
They did not.
So like everyone's improving. Yeah.
I don't know if they raised them or what, but it looked like we didn't get in a lot of knockovers. You can see when it's knocked over; it really comes forward. So, I didn't see many knockovers. I didn't see many hurdles hit. Honestly, marbles performed pretty damn well in this event. It's just a simple event. Honestly, the finish for the pinkies being in the top with the gliding glaciers, I mean, that's a little bit interesting. And I remember when we talked about, is this going to be the fulcrum year, I think is the term that's best used. Basically the year that's going to be a turning point for which teams are going to be prominent. And you know, when there's a fulcrum point in a era or a generation of something, it doesn't mean that it's going to be immediate. It means that it's just going to begin the change, and then the change will be very evident and clear over the next few years. So I still think, you know, you will see Savage Beaters and stuff prominent for longer, but is this the beginning? Is this the beginning of the turn? And I think it might be. Pinkies and gliding glaciers taking over hurdles is not, I mean, bumblebees as well, chocolatiers even, not something you'd expect. Listen, I get it with climbing. I get it with balancing. I can get it with a lot of other events. But if you said to me, all right, you got to put something down a little bit harder on one event, I would say, okay, hurdles will probably be a lot of speeders and chocolatiers, I mean, cat's eyes and, you know, midnight whiffs or something. Because that's what it was a long time ago. And so to see it start to flip, I'm like, we may be the fulcrum year. I would consider this the fulcrum year if it happens, based on the fact that last year was still very prominence dominated, crazy cat's eyes and mellow yellow and everything. But and then right before, up to 2020, it was very dominated by old teams, just very clearly, not even a contest. But I mean, this feels like it could be that year. And so we mentioned this before. We talked about this at the end of Marbula 1, saying, look at Marble League, look. And even if some of the better teams work their way back up by the end of this year and show that they're around, I mean, to see this kind of standings in the hurdles makes me think that we could be near a fulcrum year.
Yeah, you might have a point because like a lot of these are new marbles, and heck, the pinkies, if my theory is right, and they're just new marbles, and like, they are the cleanest and smoothest of all the ones out here, with the least amount of damage to them.
That's gonna help, yeah. That's gonna make a difference. So I can't say anything yet because remember, there's always outliers, and like, you know, cat's eyes could hear me and speeders could hear me and then win the next 4 events and be like, stop playing with me. You know, I mean, I get it, but I mean, look at these standings, man. I mean, you'd never put money on this for the top 4. When? Which? Not even a Bill Frosby or Focaf who knows stats like the back of their hand would say this is our top 4 this year for hurdles. They wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I'd agree. Admittedly, my memory of the stats is significantly less than before. I can definitely say that I would not have predicted those 4 at the top, especially the pinkies.
And so, I mean, there always is that overarching question in marble sports is how much stats knowledge really does help you with picking teams, predicting outcomes. And I think there's a weird balance where, I mean, knowing some stats will help you make smart choices.
It depends on the event.
It's not all encompassing. You know, it depends on the event. It depends on the year. Teams change all the time. So I'm just saying, like, there's something to it, but it's not, you know, I mean, you'd probably be just as worse off only picking a team based on absolute calculated numerical stats than by picking 4 or 5 random teams that you like their favorite color. You need to find that intermediate balance where you look at stats, you look at current momentum, and then you're also like, okay, think about new teams, you know, to try to reframe it so you understand who might be good based on the newness of the team or the recent mistakes of some of the other teams that show that they don't have the same kind of abilities that they used to. But I mean, Marble Sports changes at a slow rate. Teams will just start to drop off. Live chat is someone in live chat asking, what do I mean by fulcrum year? And maybe I wasn't clear enough. So basically, a fulcrum is like a change. Like at a fulcrum is like a point, right? So you
like
have
a seesaw.
like a seesaw. The center piece that makes a seesaw go like it's like up and down one way, so the right side's up, the left side's down. Then it goes the left side up, right side's down. That middle point where it twists around is called a fulcrum. You can also look at it like if you have two pieces connected at two lines connected as an end point, and then if you like rotate one of the lines, it's going to rotate about that end point because they're connected there. So where you rotate about is a fulcrum. And so my point is that when something moves about a fulcrum, it's changing direction, right? It's changing it's changing the orientation that it's in. It's changing its the way it's moving, okay? And so it's just a general way to say this is the year. Well, maybe we're rotating a different way now. As far as which, because like we're in the direction. The past direction is Savage Speeders, Crazy Cat's Eyes, Mellow Yellow, O Rangers, Team Galactic, maybe some Raspberry Racers, maybe some Midnight Wisps. That's the direction of Marble Sports. By that I mean that is the prominence. That those are the best teams. Those are the teams that always show up. Those are the teams to look at. Those are the teams to predict. Those are the teams to enjoy. Those are the teams to bandwagon. That's the direction of Marble Sports up until about now. Now we're twisting, we're rotating, we're switching, we're maybe 180ing, but at least to some degree going a different way. Pinkies won hurdles. Gliding Glaciers also doing well this year, and they did well last year. Bumblebees, look at them coming out in top 2 out of the first 3 events. I mean, we're switching. Our direction of teams to maybe consider as the best teams in Marble Sports is changing its focus now. And it's like, so for lack of a better term, I call it a fulcrum year because it's like this is the year, it seems to be, that might be the beginning of the turning, where our seesaw is going from high right but low left to maybe turning back the other way. To where now all these teams that were low are now going to be high, and now all these teams that were high are now going to be low. I mean, it might take many years to go from the complete seesaw this way to turn it all the way back the other way, but it looks like we're starting to hit that first year where it starts to turn. So I'm saying keep your eyes on that. It might be. Maybe the guy on the low side just got off for a second, and then he sees the chocolatiers bouncing up, and he's like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna get back on that seesaw and keep them low." You know, like you don't know. You know, like you don't. Anything can happen. I'm just saying it looks like it might be heading in that direction, and so be cognizant of that. For anyone who really likes to follow the direction of Marble Sports and likes to predict heavily in this context. Waff?
Yeah, no, like I agree. Like, we've been, I don't know how long we've been talking about, like, you know, the Savage Speeders eventually probably having to like completely falling from their pinnacle and maybe even need to like have the full team replaced someday. Like I think we've probably been talking about it probably since MFA brought up the idea of micro damage, and like
I think it was me who brought. No, I actually don't remember correctly. You'd have to see. I forget if I brought it up first and then he ran with it, or like if he brought it up first.
No, he was him because like remember we were both confused when he was saying microchips. We both didn't know what he meant. Like you mean like microchips like in computers? And he needed to explain what he meant by that.
I'd have to re-listen to that episode because I think he brought up microchipping first, and I love him for that. I actually will shout him out for that. He was the first one to have this idea. I forget if that was a build upon a discussion where we were already talking about the fact that the marbles don't say the same over time, because I feel like we had dived into that and then he came up with the term, or if he brought that up out of the blue. I'd have to legit go back and listen to that episode. It's worth a listen too, because even though it's an old episode, it's a fascinating topic.
Yeah. Well, sometimes they do change marbles. Like, for instance, they got rid of Yella or Yelly, and now is replaced by Yeller. So like sometimes they will just completely retire a marble and not just like change it and change its name, or keep its name.
Interesting. It's something to keep in mind, Akanon. I'm not going to go too far into that either.
The only time that they have changed a marble completely without actually changing its name are either the Pinkies for uniform changes or Momo, because there's no way that they glued that back together. There's no way they did. That would Momo would have been so messed up on all of its competing after that with that weird wobble, and you could see that you probably would see the glue internally unless they use like some clear glue. So Momo is most likely just not the same marble anymore. Like almost, I'm 100% certain. I'm 100% certain.
Oh my god. Most likely not, but I think they do keep the general 4-5 the same. That's going to probably wrap things for today. Looking ahead here, Galactic Pinkies, Bumblebees. What? I mean, long way to go. Don't get us wrong. But what a top 3 right now. Cat's Eyes, nipping at the heels, though. Don't count them out. Speeders, not far either. I think the Speeders are going to start to continue to push up here. I don't expect them to be outside the top 5 for long. I just want to see more from the Racers. I want to see more from the Raspberry Racers. I want to see more from Mellow Yellow. And then I think we will see more from the Chocolatiers in the more of the racing events. So. Oh,
yeah. We should rank hurdles. 7 out of 10. Color the hurdles, please.
The coloring the hurdles would be nice. I think I gave it a 7 out of 10 already, too. So.
We have email. Shoot, we do.
We do. I might push that email the next time, though, because we're getting late. It's just 1, though, right?
I think we have 2.
Let me see.
Email
MSW podcast.
Both are from Richard.
Because I usually like to start with emails to give them their time of day. I might. Is Richard here right now?
Richard is here right now. Someone also like last week. It was just like one sentence. Marley the King. Pinkies have their best ML performance in history. I think that's their hot take. So they're gonna honestly that hot take. Marley the King. You might be onto something here because the Pinkies. They're in second place. So Marley the King might have just predicted the Pinkies doing really well this year.
I have to look deeper at his first email, Richard, combining the qualifying groups, I guess saying from the qualifying team should be out.
Oh yeah, if they didn't like split them up into groups. I kind of mentioned this. I mentioned this in the actual qualifying video very briefly.
Oh, so he's saying like the speeders wouldn't even have qualified if it was one big group instead of but then again, I mean, you can't really do that. That's like a Monday morning quarterback kind of data move.
And the point system is also their own custom system because it's a different number of teams than normal. So we don't know what Yellow would have chosen for his point system.
Yeah, but he did do it with both the regular point system and with but it would be even different though because it'd be 24 teams so yeah. I mean, you can't really extrapolate that much. I will say just having more marbles, more teams means that like the heats would be different. Right? I mean, and like some of the tournament-based events would just have a different method, and just doing that, it would, and the fact that like you just have 24 marbles all waiting for one event in line instead of like it's just gonna change some things. Like it's like butterfly effect. You know what I mean? Small change could have a huge effect. You can't say there would be the same finishing. So I mean, while it's fun to always look at it, I don't think it's valid for like saying, oh, well, the Indigo Stars should be here. I don't really think so. Indigo Stars could have done even worse if it was the full 24. I think the groups are nice because it takes some of the pressure off because you don't have to like beat like all these good teams who are all bunched together. But again, host curse email. He says he just gives data here. 2018 Snowball 7th place, 2019 Oceanics 16th place, 2020 Team Galactic 7th place. 2021 Crazy Cat's Eyes 5th place. Winter Special Mini Maniacs 6th place. Mini Maniacs hosted that?
Yeah, they did, but this data shows most of them were all in the
this
top
data
half.
Just I'm assuming that you're supporting with us here because you've been listening a while. That the host curse is nonsense. You didn't say anything either way, but I'm assuming that's the idea here. I mean that's a lot of top half performances. There's one bad performance by a host. What? 16. Thanks for the data.
Yeah,
I don't want to talk about it anymore. Yeah, well, thanks. That data proves it. I don't stop talking about the host curse. Stop.
Stinth has a question about have the Pinkies had momentum since M1, since MX, or since the ML 2021 showdown?
They didn't do very well in MX. They did mediocre in MX. I was hoping they would do well, and they actually didn't. So, pretty sure they didn't. I don't know how they didn't have one either. I forget, but I don't think it was good. I was not good enough to mention them. They did not do they did mediocre in MX. I remember that. They were like 5th. I finished 5th or finished 4th, but like there was only 8 teams. They weren't top 3, I don't think. I'd have to see.
Yeah, and I don't remember Showdown. I don't remember.
Yeah, Richard is also saying the host curse is silly. So, I mean, that's the idea. I mean, the data shows that it's just stop talking about it. It's really annoying that Greg talks about it. Whatever. For anyone who really takes marble sports serious, it's not even worth a discussion. Come back to me when those data for the past 5 years reads all double-digit numbers. Then maybe we can talk. If it does, then we can talk.
Yeah.
But until then, absolutely nothing. So that's going to wrap it. Woff, take us out. We'll see you guys next week. A lot to cover. I know we bounced so much through this episode, but there's so much to cover, so much to say.
Right.
And I'm excited, man. I'm excited for the next set of 3 events. Maybe my fantasy will start to wake up, but it always is stressful watching and willing teams to do good, you know?
Yeah, no, agreed. All right, but with that, we will see you next week for a whole lot more. Roll on, Marble Sports fans!